Kia ora, tēnā koutou. Ko Aoraki te Mona, ko Wātaki te Awa, no Waimatea Hou, ko Julie Price tuku ingoa. Kia ora. Lovely to have the opportunity to speak about my position as a community engagement librarian in the Waimate District Council. I was fortunate to win the position in January 2021, and since then I've had a fantastic journey with the Waimate community, learning and growing together. We also in the Waimate District Council employed a digital librarian, and so some of our work interweaved beautifully. Just get my slide ready. Here we are, Emily and myself. So when Emily and I began our journey with the Waimate District Council, unfortunately, there was a flood within the district, which meant the library was closed when our positions began. However, they quickly addressed this and we were relocated at the event centre. We were also given the time that we needed to understand our roles while the library was closed. So we did some heavy research about the Waimate district and the people within the district. And then we got to celebrate with the community who missed the library immensely on March the 11th with the official opening or reopening of the library. NZLPP were very generous with their finances to support us during our time in our secondee positions. Our library benefited with several tablets, and this meant that our community could work more efficiently within the library. They also supported us with free public internet, waived fees, and our advertising and our travel case was supported financially. So we are very grateful. While working with the Waimate District Library, we formed collaborative relationships with the libraries within our immediate neighbourhood, which were Oamaru, Timaru and Ashburton. Through these relationships, we were able to find out different information, and part of that information was DORA, the Digital On-Road Access Bus. So we were very grateful for Oamaru and Timaru and Ashburton for sharing their knowledge of DORA, and DORA came to Waimate and we were able to not only deliver DORA to our community in town, but also outreach to our rural communities, because we are quite a rural community. It was fantastic to share our banking, particularly because for Waimate, our BNZ closed during our secondment times. And so people were anxious and nervous. And so they came and learnt how to keep safe on the internet while banking. One of my roles, one of my key projects was to enhance and extend and enrich our community's literacy through high quality books and story times. So I worked with a variety of different people. I worked with John Street Kindergarten, East Valley Kindergarten, the Waimate Mobile Kindergarten, the Waimate Childcare Centre, Rural Scholars Centre, Morven Playgroup, Parenting Hub Playgroup, the holiday program within the library, plus within local primary schools in their junior classes. I also worked one-on-one with the social worker within one of the primary schools with a low literacy group. And this was an amazing experience. And one of the tamariki that were in this group, their whānau mentioned to the social worker that she had started talking about books and stories and looked forward to our times when we were together. So that was some wonderful feedback. Another part of this project was reaching out to whānau, because we know that the first 1,000 days are critical for our young tamariki And so engaging with our whānau and parents as first teachers, we were able to work with the Reading Together program in conjunction with the Kahui Ako facilitator, Tina and Lizzie, as well as being supported by our local Rotary, who gave us the funds that we needed to give the books and the resources to our whānau. So the picture underneath is one of our Rotary members, Michael, whom is supporting the program, reading to a group of tamariki while I'm working with the whānau. So it was a wonderful opportunity to work directly with whānau in those first 1,000 days while their tamariki were growing. Another area that I worked in that boomed in Waimati and initially wasn't part of my project, but was part of the Digital Librarians project, was the digital training that DIAA worked collaboratively with us. So we were really shocked and surprised at how many people needed this and how many people came to us and said, can we have more? As you can see, we tried to keep it fun, light-hearted, engaging, and relevant. So our people that needed this came from a variety of different skills. Some of their skill level was very low, and for others, they were on the journey but just wanted some backup. One of the comments that Emily and I received was, we know that we can start investigating things on our tablet or our phone when we're with you, because you will get us out of trouble if we get into trouble. So there was that wonderful trust model. Unfortunately, as everybody knows, the 17th of August saw us go into a lockdown. So while our projects were starting to form and while the interactions were starting to become strong, we were locked down. And after the lockdown, there was the framework for the red light, which also prevented us from engaging with our community, particularly for me, the schools and the early childhood centres. As you can see, there should be no non-essential visitors on site at RED. So this meant that I needed to come up with a variety of different ways to get into the education sectors that I'd been working with. And one of those ways that we did this was Emily and I worked together and we did a video of some storytelling that we sent out with links to remain connected. Of course, during the lockdown and also during the red zone, my hands weren't idle. NZLPP provided a fabulous wraparound support, and they invested plenty of time and resources into their secondment positions through Slack, Synapse, Hui's, Zooey's, Zooms, and coaching. I certainly felt very supported and was able to upskill along my journey, as you can see from my record of learning. When returning to the library, yay, at long last, after the lockdown in the red zone, there was some skeleton crew, but once we're back into the library, it was Te Wiki o Te Reo, which meant that what I had planned, I had to adapt to. So how I adapted was with doing displays, but also making available some local legends of Mōraki boulders, Aoraki, our Maunga, and also Little Mount Peel. So I collated this information and delivered it to the schools and the early childhood centres and the high school. So that was a fabulous way to still be connected and also work supporting their te reo and their tikanga Māori journey, which was also one of my projects. The purpose of the project was the library's commitment to the Treaty of Waitangi and to strengthen the principles within the library and the connections in the community, as well as increase the library's use of te reo and Māori tikanga. part of my position as the secondi was to support my librarians. So within the library, I would be on site on a Thursday and Friday morning. And during that time, it was a wonderful opportunity to interweave the outreach that I'd been doing in the community by being on site. And so when people came in, that relationship continued. And so that was really important, because they would often come up to me directly because the relationship that we'd formed, and entrust in me different discussions, different aspirations for the community, and also different journeys that they had been on. NZLPP also supported us with resources that we needed to share some of our Christmas cheer, so to speak, which included bags and resources. So we were really fortunate to have 77 pluses, which was immense for our district, because some of our posts aren't supported, but this post in particular, 77 acknowledgements, which was fantastic. The community outreach that I did was also very well supported, and the purpose of that was to increase membership and member participation in an inclusive manner. So going out to the people and going out to their place of work or to their place within the community was a really empowering thing to do. Here we can see that we celebrated Waitangi Day within the library. This also interweaves with the Resource Management Act 1991 and the Local Government Act 2002, and as part of one of my projects to strengthen, like I say, the Tuti Waitangi principles within the library. The outreach work that I did was with the local marae. I also supported the library staff to learn te reo on a Thursday. I also worked with the Kapahaka group at the local Waimati High School. I was on the Matariki committee. I started a Waiata Wednesday. I had regular meetings with other library people within the district. I had wonderful cups of tea with one of our elders, and I was involved in supporting one of our local whānau members to apply for some te reo funding. Here is the poster for Waiata Wednesday. During the time with all the lockdowns and things, we started in the library using the screen, which was fantastic. Then we had to move outside because of the COVID worry. Then we moved to the front foyer, and now we're back by the TV. So we've really been very adaptive during this time. But what we've ensured that we've done is still make this available to our community. And I think that's really critical. Housebound was one of my other projects, and within Housebound we also needed to get a lot of resources, and so the idea of Housebound was to support people who are unable to get into the library. Part of the community outreach was public talks, one-to-one sharing, COVID passes, New World kiosk, Christmas bag handout, St John's. We also have a relationship with the Kureao Library and Community Link and Heartlands, as well as the museum archives. So plenty of outreach within our community. Here is a summary of the stats that we were able to achieve within our library. So within the commitment to our early literacy experiences, we held 76 early literacy events with approximately 1,121 attendees. So they included Parenting Hub, Kaiako Learning, the whānau program, the early learning centre visits, the library story time, and the literacy growth group. The other stats were about the commitment to the Treaty of Waitangi, and within this we were involved with the Kapahaka, Matariki, Te Reo and Tikanga Thursday within the library, Waimati Wednesday with our community, He Tangata relationships with the people in the iwi within our community, and Te Wiki o Te Reo. So our results there were 84 events with approximately 651 attendees. And finally, the Waimati Library's community outreach to increase membership and member participation in an inclusive manner. For here, we did public talks, we did some digital work within the library Lego Club, the library bags, the kiosk at the New World, and the librarian secondees outreach. Here we had 58 events with approximately 658 attendees. The barriers that we identified during this time was the stigma in receiving support, the limited finances, the cultural values, fear of social repercussions, the low literacy, the low digital literacy, the language or second language difficulties, the digital access to transport, and limited or no phone service, or people not knowing where to go for help. So being able to be a community engagement librarian and being able to go to the people meant that it supported those people who are unsure or were new into the community. For example, the housebound had been housebound for 7 years and didn't know who to ask, or had lost confidence and didn't feel confident enough to ask. So certainly being a community engagement librarian has been fantastic. It's been wonderful to be able to be in this position, and I'm very excited for the Waimati District's future, and I hope that our projects will continue and that the community will be excited about the things that are new in their communities as well. Tēnā koutou katoa.